Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Sorry about that. Had to go get my hat.
Like this, biatch.
Yo, that is Bitch Made by MC Amnesia, and we were listening to Microstoria before. The cartoon we were looking at is The Brothers Grunt, a disgusting cartoon experiment that was on MTV and frightened and confused everybody. I simply love it. The first episode especially is insane. Because it was MTV, they were trying to figure out, okay, how do we get music videos, how do we fuse music videos with this crazy animation? So this is what they came up with. Look at this. This was how they're gonna fuse music and animation. Okay, so just we had cartoon, just kind of a cold cut, no context, no nothing, just literally cold cut, as if we're shifting to something else in the middle of the cartoon. Okay. Right. Okay, so standard music video, Rock Me Amadeus, great music video, awesome song. Don't want to get DMCA'd, right? So, and then we just cut in random scenes from the cartoon, like farting and grunting. This was how the Brothers Grunt was going to integrate animation. And look at this dude. It's very Dadaist that, a lot of people hate it, but they don't really realize, they don't get it. They really don't get it. Maybe even the creator didn't get it. I don't know. Anyway, folks, welcome to the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, aka the Harbinger. What you can change. Hey there. Welcome. Number one in the chat looks like the OGs don't want to make it today. That's okay. That's fine. I'm not mad. I'm not mad looking at that empty chat. That's okay, because we're going to jump right into talking about Gaza. It's all about Gaza today. Just going to be catching up on this. There's a totally insane interview with the leader of the settlement movement about their settlement project to take over the West Bank. Greetings from the Netherlands. It's your boy, Strategy Member. Welcome back, Strategy. Thank you for coming back. So we got just a couple Gaza things, so we're just going to jump into it right now, keep it focused on one subject today, and then we'll probably jump into Ukraine tomorrow, because we're not going to be forgetting about Ukraine, y'all. All right, so let's see here. Turn that down in my head. So the first video, just... these videos are so depressing. You know what I mean? It's like... They're so depressing and so numerous. They're every single day. There's more of them coming out. It's Israel. Israel's brutality is starting to work on me in terms of just fatigue from seeing these poor people suffer so much. But also knowing they're not going to get help from the West. That this is, that the best Joe Biden is going to do is wag his finger. The Rafah offensive is definitely happening. Interestingly, though, I'm seeing it's looking like, at least initially, with the Rafah offensive, that they're going to do it the way that they should have done with the whole Gaza Strip, with strikes instead of bombings. Also, how do you mean the orgs didn't show up? The OGs didn't show up? Oh, usually Chem Goblin and a few other people. There he is, Woke Patriot. That's what I mean. OGs like Woke Patriot. That's fine. I don't expect you guys being here minute one. It's totally ridiculous. Anyway, I'm just trying to say these videos are really starting to destroy my mental health. Just every single day in my damn phone, looking at these images and just feeling powerless. and I couldn't imagine how they feel. I really couldn't. I've never experienced being displaced by a much more powerful country. I've never experienced having a multi-million-dollar bomb dropped on my hovel. You know, oh no, you're gonna blow up my Kia Sorento over here. Yeah, it's intentional. It's about making these people leave, giving them nothing to come back to, and then you drag out the peace process long enough, and people don't give a shit. Thank you for following What You Can Change. I appreciate that. Enjoy your meme explosion. So I didn't mean to talk over this guy here. They're hitting in every direction. They don't care about people. They're hitting everywhere, here, there. They displace us from here to there and there. We don't know where to go. And no, that's where, you know, they're forcing them into a position to what they want to happen. What Israel wants to happen is a humanitarian crisis on the border with Egypt there. The Sinai Peninsula, right? They want a humanitarian crisis to happen right there. They want people to start bleeding into that area, and hopefully occupying that area. And what they want Egypt to do is give up and basically just put this problem in Egypt's lap, literally, like you know, like a really rude neighbor dumping. No, that's not a fair comparison, right? It's more of like, yeah, okay, it's more of like a mother, you know, leaving her baby at the doorstep of a neighbor, right? And you're like, well, you know, that's super irresponsible. That's really cruel. That's my belief. You know, there's a lot of gaslighting that we're seeing. It's interesting because you'll see, you know, one day you'll see Bibi Netanyahu's number 2 and number 3 going to a you know, how to settle Gaza conference, and then the next day you'll see a statement put out that Bibi Netanyahu definitely wants to, you know, return Gaza to the Palestinians and yada yada. And then, you know, it reminds me of the 2-state solution negotiations. You know, this, oh, well, you know, yeah, oh, yeah, there's a lot of progress. We got progress in the talks. We're getting closer to a solution. Israel showed that they're interested in this and that. And then, of course, then the next meeting, they start walking out. They have some kind of moral issue. They bring up, you know, Palestine not acknowledging Israel, even though they don't acknowledge Palestine. They don't even acknowledge their own borders because they're waiting to encompass all of Palestine before they'll acknowledge their official borders. All right, so moving on to the next one. Canada will not sell arms to Israel after altered NDP motion passes. So lots of anti-Semite. You're giving Hamas exactly what they want. How dare you? How dare you let the terrorists win? You know, Israel can bomb indiscriminately for as long as it wants because it was attacked on October 7th, and you're the real terrorist for you know, for calling for a ceasefire. So through all that noise and all those accusations, the NDP and the Liberals were still able to make this happen. It really does show that, you know, Canadian politics is still pretty different from their U.S. neighbor here.
The European Union states that Netanyahu is using deliberate starvation of children in Gaza as a weapon of war. Human rights groups have spoken out against targeting of journalists, civilians, hospitals, aid workers, and the UN has called out for...
So Israel denies all of that, right? And of course the sycophants deny all of that. The people in the chat that defend Israel deny all of that. Hell, we got a libertarian in our Discord that even denies that Israel is you know, still thinking that Israel is trying to destroy Hamas and that this isn't a land grab. Welcome back, Reed Strader from Kick. Very good to see you.
journalists, civilians, hospitals, aid workers. And the UN has called out for Canada for complicity in this because we provide the military weapons to Israel. Last night, Parliament called for an end to military aid to Netanyahu's government, and yet numerous military supply deals are still in the works. So will the minister respect Parliament and tell us whether or not deals like the guns from Colt and Kitchener and armed vehicles from Rochelle and Brampton will be sent to Israel, yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to begin by saying that yesterday for me was the day I was very proud to be a parliamentarian. In this House, we came together, 4 to 5 parties, to find a workable solution, to find a Canadian position that Canadians could be comfortable with. We will continue to advocate for a ceasefire. We will continue to not sell arms as we have promised and continue to make sure that we bring hostages back to where they belong in their homes. We will continue to do that. I invite the Conservatives to be as engaged in this as we are.
Now, of course, the Conservatives are, Israel can do no wrong. I mean, not exactly in Canada. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. I mean, in the United States, it's literally Joe Biden, not Joe Biden, Donald Trump literally saying, "Oh, we should finish the job. Why don't we just kill everybody? What's the problem here? We got them all grouped together in Rafah. Why don't we just drop a couple bombs, take care of this? What are we doing?" Literally, not word for word, of course, but I mean, he literally said, "Finish the job." Like, what are we waiting for? Aren't we just killing them all? So I wanted to show this. Ceasefire negotiations resume for Israel-Hamas war. So, even amongst all this, there still are negotiations happening. This was 1 day ago, so this is definitely not old news. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me that that this is happening. I mean, maybe, and then I'm also going to be reporting on several strikes. I think there was one airstrike that I'm going to be covering in Rafah, but up until then, they were doing, kind of commando raids. They did one into the Al Shifa hospital, which is not in Rafah. And apparently a bunch of, they claim, just like we claim, just like the United States claimed, we would bomb a location and we would say any man, any person who's older than 16 and is a male is a terrorist. And it was like, well, okay, so you literally can't trust any of the numbers coming out of the United States about, because Barack Obama would defiantly, confidently say, oh, we killed this many terrorists. We got this leader. We got that leader. And there was always more. There was always more. Always more of them. So I'm just a little skeptical because they say 200 Hamas members in Al Shifa hospital, I think was what I read. Pretty absurd. Oh God, what are we doing here? I hate interrupting to watch myself. It's really egotistical, but what are we waiting for? Aren't we just killing them all? Yeah. All right, don't send that to the FBI, please. Please don't do that. All right, let's get into it here. Let's see how. Like I said before, anytime there's negotiations from the Israeli side, it is an attempt to delay the process so that they can continue committing the crimes that they intend to commit. They think they're very clever, and so far they're 100% correct in that they can easily manipulate the West and the Western Alliance into acquiescing to their colonial crimes. You could say it's settler colonialism. The question is, okay, is this, is this the sign that, he pushed it too far with Gaza? Should have taken it piece by piece like the West Bank, did it too quick, and, he screwed the pooch on this whole thing? I don't think so. I don't think because the goal from the very beginning, after World War II, they've never changed this goal. When they made that agreement and gave Israel this land and started this quagmire, maybe they didn't know it was going to be this bad, but they've always known from the beginning, yes, this is going to be our democratic pet project in the Arab world, And it's always been the goal. It's always been the goal to use Israel as a military satellite. No one really talks about that, but it's pretty obvious to me that the reason why they're out there is to defend the the Western hegemony. But so what I'm trying to say is that he's going to get away with it. It's egregious. It's a crime against humanity. You know, we'll be talking about how bad it is for decades. But Israel, you know, they'll be putting up fences. The border will be, you know, the humanitarian crisis will continue in Egypt. You know, relations with Egypt will be strained. You know, we'll figure out something what to do with the Palestinians later. Right? Oh, programs here and there to get them out of the Sinai Peninsula. Oh yeah, we'll work with you, Egypt. I think the West is going to allow it to happen. Is what I'm trying to say. The project is going to be completed. I think if they plant the flag in Gaza, why not just finish the job with the West Bank? You know, if you're planting the flag in Gaza City, you know, why not just finish your project in the West Bank? Why not? You know, just wrap it up. Kick them all into the Sinai Peninsula. That's the plan, dog. That's the plan. And like every step of the way, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Oh, and like they've gaslit us since the 40s, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop.
Well, ceasefire negotiations in Qatar have resumed, with Israel indicating that talks could last another 2 weeks. The country's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is facing growing criticism over his handling of the war against Hamas. That criticism coming from abroad and domestically. On Sunday, the families of hostages who are being held in Gaza protested in Tel Aviv. They accused the government of not doing enough to bring their relatives home.
Hostages? Oh, come on.
Well, Nawaf Al-Thani is a former Qatari Defence Intelligence Director. He joins us from Doha. Welcome to DW. Now, we know Israel has rejected Hamas's ceasefire proposal, though it has sent a delegation to Qatar to continue talks, even as Benjamin Netanyahu talks about launching a ground operation in Rafah. So how far are the two sides away from each other?
Well, thank you for having me, Phil. To be honest, right now things are very murky on the situation in Gaza, because we've got this new incursion into the Al-Shifa hospital and the threat of invading or land warfare on Rafah. Now, obviously, the Qatari and American negotiators, the sponsors of these negotiations, play this very close to their vests. So there are not a lot of details, but if we've seen what happened in the past, the Qataris remain optimistic. They remain hopeful that before the Eid celebrations, which will be in 3 weeks, that there may be a resolution to the situation right now, and hopefully a ceasefire.
No, what we are witnessing is theater meant to placate the West, right? This gives Morning Joe something to say before they transition to Trump, right? That's what we're seeing here. There is no intention with any kind of negotiation with Hamas. The goal is to destroy Hamas, whatever that means. Really, the only realistic destroy Hamas scenario is Hamas physically not being a presence in the region that used to be known as Palestine, right? They've removed Hamas from all of that area, West Bank, Gaza Strip. Hamas will still exist surrounding Israel. We're still going to see all kinds of suicide bombs and, you know, terrorist acts. You know, it'll be like the Troubles for the next 50 years. Israel will turn itself into more of a fortress, right? More walls, more security, more apartheid, you know, more laws that specifically say if you're an Arab, you're a danger. With that said, I don't think the capitalist nature of their setup is going to, it's going to be the cheap labor is going to be too fucking sweet. You know what I mean? Palestinian cheap labor is still going to be a thing. They're still going to want to have Palestinians come in to do their, you know, to work as serfs. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, I don't mean to be so cynical. But look at the situation with Joe Biden, calling himself a Zionist. You know, wagging his finger until the goddamn thing falls off like it's a Beetlejuice cartoon. And you know, and then sending aid, and then sending weapons and money. It's just absurd.
Do you think that Israel wants to get its hostages back through diplomatic means rather than military? I've seen speculation that the Prime Minister would prefer to get the hostages back militarily rather than by negotiation, because a military victory would defeat Hamas, where a negotiated hostage return would allow Hamas to rearm.
Well, that is confusing, to be honest, Phil, because on net, the attempts by the IDF to rescue Israeli hostages have yielded more hostages killed than rescued. Yes, there were some attempts that had succeeded, but...
Yeah, because it's not a movie, okay? You got a gun to a hostage's head. Army's coming through. You don't look out the door and then get shot and then the hostage gets saved. No, you kill the hostage and then you run away. Question my thoughts. Do I believe the U.S. military special interests that we're unaware in terms of eliminating Hamas? It seems to be, it would be an interest to me. The entire idea that the United States cares about eliminating terrorism, total lie, total canard. The United States used that justification for its own purposes in Iraq and Afghanistan. The United States doesn't give a shit about terrorism. The United States cares about weaponizing terrorists, you know, in a very similar way to Israel, you know, creating boogeymen, creating others. And terrorists are amazing for that. They're amazing for that. You know, Hamas is such an amazing boogeyman, checks every box. You know, I'm literally dedicated to your annihilation. You know, I mean, just literally, you know, off the charts. But no, the United States doesn't give a shit about democracy or eliminating terrorism. It's simply a justification to use their great power without having to, like, you know, negotiate or, you know, any kind of just drop bombs. You know, they're terrorists, terrorist organization. They're beyond the pale. You know, annihilate them. Now Qatar is the only one offering Europe cheap oil due to the conflict with Russia. So I wonder how this will affect Europe's supply for Israel. Strategy, could you give me a link on that information? That sounds interesting. I remember the U.S. using the terrorism reasoning, yet we continue to see the growth and increase of terrorist acts, which is why I asked. Thanks. Well, the reason why we see the increase of terrorist acts is because of something called blowback. The United States empire and the Western empires have no interest in admitting any fault, asking for apologies, doing any restitution. You know, like you will never see the United States, you know, apologize for, you know, all the damage it's done to the Cuban, you know, people with its really hard sanctions, just because, you know, just because it's a communist government. So the United States and the Western allies, if they want to eliminate terrorism, they should try to make strong middle-class livelihoods for as many third world people as possible. The reason why a person becomes a terrorist is not because they like crime and they like killing people. They become a terrorist because they're incredibly desperate. They're in a really, you know, nasty. It's a big combination of things. It's a big combination of things. So if the West actually wants to eliminate terrorism, it would actually try to, you know, literally just out of the goodness of its heart, even though it might not actually make some money off this or get something out of it, but actually help countries instead of exploit countries. And, you know, we can get into the definition of that later, but actually assist countries instead of exploit them. We might see the elimination of terrorism. As it is, though, terrorism, like I said, is an incredibly useful tool for colonizers, for dictators, authoritarians, for empires, for you know, to have that other, to have that boogeyman. You need, you know, to trade your liberty for security. So, terrorism is actually a very useful tool for the current geopolitical paradigm, if that makes any sense.
On that again, more killed than rescued. On the other hand, the negotiations have released tens, over 100 of the hostages. So it is confusing to see that continuing to endanger the civilians and the hostages in Gaza seems to be the order of the day with the IDF. It probably may be driven by internal politics
we don't need to lower the quality of life
global rationale
or level
to end the war and save the hostages and rescue, obviously, even the civilians who right now, and the numbers in front of me, over 31,000 killed and over 73,000 wounded. This is really a dire situation, and it is confusing.
Now, Hamas, of course, is looking for the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and the release of prisoners from Israel. How likely are they to get what they want?
Well, what I can say is what has been already mentioned by, for instance, the Qatari negotiators. Qatar is pushing both sides, both the Israelis and Hamas, urging them to be at the negotiating table and to reach a resolution, not for any political goal for either party, but for the safety of the hostages and the civilian population of Gaza. Now, there are calculations on both sides. However, I think the ultimate goal must be something that all parties interested should push for, and that's what the Qataris have been doing and the Americans, who are sponsoring, again, these negotiations.
Okay, good talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Yeah. That's what they should do. That's what they could do. It's a big delay. It's a big gaslight. I don't trust Hamas or the IDF or Israel in these negotiations. I honestly don't think either side wants a real ceasefire. I mean, the thing is like, I don't agree with Israel and the IDF on 95% of stuff, but the left, a lot of people on the left, when they're talking about Hamas, seem like they're talking about freedom fighters like the Sandinistas, right? Or like, some kind of rebel group or the French resistance, No, we are dealing with monsters. Hamas are monsters. Theological, authoritarian, ignorant, belligerent. It's not, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to because they are not interested in the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people are a cynical tool for Hamas. The human shield argument is not totally inaccurate. The leaders of Hamas talk about how it's good optics for them when Israel kills a lot of innocent Palestinians. And they also, because of their theological beliefs, they believe they're doing a good thing, creating a lot of martyrs, sending them all to, their version of heaven. What is that? Look, and like their incompetence with these hostages in general. I mean, just losing them, letting God knows who, man, take these children and women into dungeons, right? You don't even have them. You don't even have a good idea where they're at. We're just really the only solution is a technocratic government installed and enforced by Israel that is actually given independence. Israel is then forced by the United States to give this technocratic entity real independence to actually run a legitimate Palestinian state, allowing them to fish in the sea, allowing imports and exports to happen. Israel would have to be forced to let that happen. Of course, releasing and removing some of the settlements in the West Bank would be another part of these negotiations that need to happen, that Israel needs to be forced to do. None of this is feasible. Why? Because, like I said before, This Israel project ain't stopping, man. The West, it's the dirty little secret, man. Joe Biden, it's funny, man. Joe Biden literally called himself a Zionist out of one side of his mouth. And then another side, he's like, oh, I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. I mean, really? Has, Bibi Netanyahu lied to us? Really? He's staunchly anti two-state solution, Bibi Netanyahu. And you never hear that. You never hear Mika Brzezinski bringing that up on Morning Joe. You're kind of starting to, though, now. You're kind of starting to hear it. But it's not enough. It's too late. If Israel continues to take and delay, they'll nail this. They'll get the whole thing secured and locked up. No problem. So here's more histrionics, more finger wagging. Biden warns Netanyahu in phone call today against major ground operation Rafah. You better not do it. This is 1 day ago. And I believe the IDF, this is the Al-Shifa raid. See here. So they launched raid Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. Where is it? See if I have it here. Because I think, so we're going to be talking about that later. Okay, get that over here. ABC is releasing a propaganda video. Yeah, Rafah strategy that works. Oh, okay. Well, I thought I had a headline prepared that showed that Israel was striking Rafah today, I believe. Let's see if I can find something. Yeah, okay, I must have misread something. Okay. Yeah, this is all old news. Okay, I must have misread something. Okay, moving on, keeping it moving here. Let's get this one next to it. Biden warns Netanyahu in phone call today against major ground operation in Rafah. It's happening. It's happening. You bet it's happening. And I think Joe Biden, it's crazy to me. I don't know. He has these hot mic moments where it's like, maybe he is a true believer. Maybe he really does believe this bullshit coming out of his mouth. It's crazy to me to think that Joe Biden honestly believes that Bibi Netanyahu is not going to do a Rafah offensive. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that he might actually honestly believe that he's dealing with some kind of honest actor here. No, I mean there is an exit strategy. That is, like I said before, pushing the Palestinians into Egypt, creating a humanitarian disaster on the border that would force that to happen. Taking over, what it's not like they're going to push all the Palestinians into Egypt, put up a wall, put up a flag, and then call it Bibi Netanyahu land. 5 minutes later, they're going to push. It's going to be like a multi-phase thing, just like the West Bank, right? So create the humanitarian disaster. That's like phase 17 or whatever, right? But the next phase is then, secure that gain and then occupy Gaza for security reasons. The whole Gaza Strip has to be occupied for security reasons. Oh, we found Hamas. There's this tunnel over here. Oh, there's a pocket over here. We can't give it back to the Palestinians. We can't give it back to the Palestinians. You do that for over a year. Security, occupation, security. Oh, we're definitely going to do it. We're totally going to give it back to the Palestinians. We promise. Absolutely. We got a whole plan. Oh yeah. Bibi Netanyahu once a month putting out a statement. Oh, two-state solution. I believe in all this. Give it enough time. And then just like with Jerusalem, dog, when some other shit is happening, when it's like, when finally no one's talking about Israel and the Gaza Strip and whoop, you slip that bitch in there. Whoop! You slip that bitch in there. Oh, we've officially annexed the Gaza Strip and have started moving in settlers. Of course, we might see settlers accidentally, of course. Oh man, they got through the fence. Damn it. We might see settlers get in there early as well. So we might see that as well. We might see just an emulation of the West Bank strategy. But I think what they're going to do is to placate Biden, especially during the rest of this year, during this election. they're going to pretend like Gaza is off hands. You know, settlers aren't allowed in. You're making us look bad. We'll get to you guys later. We'll let you do it later. But they're going to let them, you know, they're just going to keep that, like I said, occupied for our own safety. But once we're all paying attention to something else, oh, it's official. Oh, it's now officially Israeli. Oh, sorry. Snuck that in. Go ahead and update the map, by the way, Google. Go ahead and update that map. Google will gladly do it. That's that. You know, there is an exit strategy. There is an exit strategy. You know, it's this. This is a massive, multi-decade gaslighting campaign about, oh, we love peace, we care about peace, and maybe in the 80s and 90s there was some legitimate people in Israel who were in legitimate positions of power that were legitimately talking about two-state solutions. That shit is over, dog. That shit is over. Thank you, strategy member. Hopefully to see you again. I'll be on for at least another half hour.
All right, we're taking a listen to Jake Sullivan there at the White House press briefing, talking about the conversation that was had, the phone call had between Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and President Joe Biden. They hadn't spoken, by the way, in 32 days. Two of the standout moments, I believe,
if you think about it,
to me, were
the last 32 days. Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, you had Joe Biden saying, "Oh, I think the negotiations are gonna. It's real. I think they're going well. I think they're going well." You're thinking, "Oh, he's got some inside scoop. He's got some inside scoop." Homie, the only thing he's scooping is the dookie out of his butt. He had no idea what he was talking about. He had no fucking clue. He had no fucking clue. The president of the United States over here just totally winging it, and like the reason why it's ridiculous because it made him look so fucking stupid. It made him look so fucking naive. Oh yeah, no, I think Hamas is going to take the deal. I think Hamas is going to take the deal. I see a problem with that though. If Israel doesn't have control of what comes in this new state, then it becomes a huge security risk. I think they have better control to prevent. No. Israel, that's a, you know, they'll deal with that. Rockets coming in, you know, suicide bombs. If anything, all that stuff buttresses and backs up their colonial gains, right? They can say, see how dangerous they are. See, look, they want to get us even now. Even now, we've put up walls, and we've gotten them out of our lives, and they still want to get us, right? So. No, that's a problem they're happy to deal with. You know, other Arab countries getting mad at them. I mean, let's be real, man. Let's be real. These Arab countries that surround Israel don't give a fuck about Palestine. They care about Palestine in so much as they like to use Palestine for their own personal politics. You know, oh, I care so much about these Arabs over here. I care so much. The West, it's clearly a campaign of the West against Arab people. Vote for me, vote for me. They're not sending the troops in. They're not sending the troops in. This isn't the Nakba. This shit is done. This shit is done, dude. What we are looking at, the mop-up operation of this massive multi-decade colonial project. You think they're going to stop now? They're almost done.
Or the statement about whether or not Israel actually had a plan when it came to defeating Hamas. Well, they have the shared goal of defeating Hamas. What, in fact, was the plan to do so?
Doesn't matter, hot dog.
They talked about the incursion in.
It feeds into the fear-mongering narrative.
Sending a delegation
perfectly.
from Israel to talk about their plan when it comes to a ground incursion.
I've said years ago that the rockets need to stop. The rockets don't
NBC's
work.
Chief White House correspondent.
Counterproductive.
About this. I think one of the moments also, Peter, that stood out was when he said, yes, this delegation is coming, right? Netanyahu has agreed to send this delegation to the United States, but the prime minister already has his own idea of what he is going to do in Rafah. And he has made this quite clear.
Well, let's be clear. The backdrop to this conversation today, they've only
Kissing Gonzo, I only disagree with you in the not in public. Religious people should be able to gather in public to do their thing. And, you know, people can choose to watch or people can choose to go. Now, politically, of course, there should be total separation of church and state, right? But, you know, I mean, come on. You know, you want to stand on a soapbox in a park and talk about Yahweh. It's America. Should be able to do that.
At 4 year to date, the last one was February 15th. There's the tension between these two men, two very different visions of the way this should be playing out and the way that it is playing out right now. So what was striking was, as we heard from Sullivan, that they have now, the U.S. has asked for this delegation of political, humanitarian, and military leaders to come to the United States, to Washington, D.C., Yasmin, as you noted, and to discuss alternatives to an incursion into Rafah right now.
Kissing Gonzo, So I said, public gathering as in standing in a park or speaking, or maybe, you're at a conference room, or, you rent out a conference room at a hotel. You took that example, turned it into a massive hyperbolic example of some religious zealot who has spawned some tower in the middle of Times Square and is literally forcing everyone to listen to Aramaic chants 24/7. Yeah, no, I think I'd have a problem with your hyperbolic, hypothetical example. I definitely would have a problem with a religious person doing that. Good thing that's not what I was talking about, though. Right?
He noted all the reasons why that is a problem in the views of the United States. More than 1 million Palestinians who are there. It is a border crossing, as we're much of the aid, though not nearly enough, is coming in the U.S. right now, and it's along the border with Egypt, which has its own.
Literally just today, I was walking my dog coming home. Religious people knocking on the door. I told them straight up, don't knock on my door unless you want an earful, because I got a lot of things to say to religious folks. You bet they walked on by. They don't want to talk to me.
Concerns right now. But to the point that you made, the real issue is that, as he acknowledged, the Israelis, as he said, have a very different opinion on this. So the idea that they're going to come and say, hey, here's your opinion, here's our opinion, and find some middle ground seems very challenging. They literally are at odds in their view of this right now.
Yeah,
there are all sorts of ramifications here. Let's start with the humanitarian ramifications right now. The United Nations right now saying that famine is imminent in northern Gaza, that there are 677,000 Palestinians in that country right now who are near starvation, a number they say will only grow if it's not addressed quickly. You literally have the World Central Kitchen, Jose Andres' organization, bringing in food because not enough aid is coming in. There is no U.S. effort to this point, though there will be in the future, to build a pier to bring in aid there. So that's the humanitarian issue, which is dramatic, which is dire. You have the political issue for the president at home, who is facing real ramifications domestically from not just Arab and Muslim Americans, but from a lot of Americans, specifically in states like Michigan, as we witnessed most recently, and their primary for roughly 100,000 voters there who cast their votes for uncommitted, to send a real message to the president of the United States. And of course, you have the military objective. The president views this very differently than Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He has said that he wants to see a two-state solution.
That's a really cynical way to frame it. I don't think Mashed Potato was saying that. I think Mashed Potato is saying that Egypt is going to be put in a position where they're going to have to make a choice between helping out starving people, or letting them die on the border, or what are you going to do? Open fire on people or breaking down the fence? So I don't really think that's very fair framing coming from you, woke patriot. You're saying over here, Egypt helping Israel with the ethnic cleansing. That's really not fair, especially to Egypt, who's being put in a position where they clearly do not want to help Israel in its ethnic cleansing campaign, but there's not really much of a choice there, right? Mashed Potato, you're adorable. If the world worked off what we should do to be nice to each other, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Please stop basing your solutions or conclusions off what you think humanity should do, because I don't necessarily disagree with you. We should all get along. We should all be nice to each other. We're dealing with geopolitics here, though. This is the realm of power and empires, and there's not really a lot of time to talk about why we should just all be sitting in a fire and singing Kumbaya. And I'd legitimately say that I believe in world peace. We're not going to get to world peace, though, fantasizing about what may come. The only way we're going to get to world peace is by taking control of the situation and steering the ship. And that's what the left needs to do.
solution. And what strikes me is another reminder. It was only a matter of days ago that Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat, the top American Jew in the halls of Congress, in the White House, anywhere, spoke out and basically said that there needs to be a transition. There needs to be new governance in that country. So this was a big moment, I think, and it just underscores the real tensions and how far they are from solutions.
Quickly here, is there a sense at all inside the White House that Netanyahu will listen at this point to the president, that the president has any influence really over the prime minister?
Call him anytime.
I think as evidenced by this right now, it's clear that they are at odds, and that's why you're hearing increasingly from those members of Congress right now, including some Democrats who are saying, hey, we should condition aid. The United States should say, unless more is done to help those people, the Palestinian people who are facing starvation, famine right now, that the U.S. should not continue to send weapons to Israel right now. Benjamin Netanyahu, though, he does still have strong support across Israel, not all satisfied with his politics, not all satisfied certainly with the fact that October 7th occurred the way that it did or at all. But the bottom line is there's certainly still a lot of people in Israel that are worried about their neighbors on the border, and Hamas still controls so much of Gaza.
Peter Alexander, thank you, my friend.
All right, so we got a really good question in the chat here. I'm not going to try to spend too much time on it, but it is a good question, so I thought I'd answer it. Pucker War here asking, what do you think is the best way to confront Iran's state-sponsored terrorism? Right, so here you have a situation where you have an established government. It's no joke. It's not unstable. And they're, funding Hezbollah and Hamas through Hezbollah. Kissing Gonzo is correct. So the way, here's the thing, is that, and you never hear this discussed on the West because of American exceptionalism, British exceptionalism, Western exceptionalism narratives that you see on Western mainstream media, even in more independent Western mainstream media like BBC and DW and France 24, there's this bias where the West is just trying to help, just trying to find stability, whereas there's actually this whole other paradigm happening right below that narrative, a geopolitical game of power being played out, and humanity, mercy, caring for people, democracy, that's out the fucking window. That's out the fucking window. Because it's about keeping what these empires have already gained. So the reason why I bring that up is because the reason why Iran, through Hezbollah, is doing what it's doing is because it sees working with the West as totally futile. It's realpolitik to them, right? They see the situation in black and white, really. Because when they try to work with the West, what happens? What happened with Iran when they tried to work with the West with their nuclear weapons, nuclear power program? Okay, we'll play along. Lots of inspections. Okay, we'll agree to this and that. And then purely for political reason, Donald Trump scuttles the whole thing, but there's still this Western expectation that Iran doesn't get the nuclear weapon. It's a big concern to us, but it's never framed in the West, reneged on its promise. Any kind of negotiation was totally severed from Iran. Going back to what Kissing Gonzo said, the way to remove terrorism is you create a strong and burgeoning middle and upper class, right? You make a successful economy. People can work themselves up honestly from the lower class into the middle class. It's a real meritocracy. You help build those strong democracies. Then you remove the incentive for terrorism. But if you put countries in desperate situations, and geopolitically, the West is putting Iran in a very nasty corner, right? Especially when you got situations like Israel, allowing to secure more power And then, you know, everyone turns a blind eye. Oh, we raised a big stink. Oh, we cared so much. Wham. We cried so much for the Palestinians. But we let Israel do it. And we also shipped them weapons the entire time, with the justification being that other Arab countries might invade Israel. We can't have that. So, back to your original question. What do I think the best way to confront Iran's state-sponsored terrorism? To answer your question, I would say for the West to start acting like an honest actor with these Arab countries. Because, like I said, the narrative on mainstream media is that it's these boogeymen, these bad actors, these Arab nations, they hate us because they hate us, or it's a religious thing, and you know, the complication there is that there's some truth. Right? It's not exactly like, you know, there isn't religious ignorance and all that there. But when you look at the reality of the situation, which is Barack Obama was able to sit down with Iran, negotiate, and say, you know, we really don't like the idea of you getting nuclear weapons. We really want to try to, you know, prevent that from happening. What can we do for you? You know, for you to work with us so that we don't have this. And they signed a deal. And let me tell you, they upheld their part of the deal until Trump killed it. UN weapons inspectors was allowed to go in there. They set up cameras. There was a whole security and verification regime that Iran participated with. So this idea that they're bad actors, you can't touch it, you can't work with them, they're just nasty, spooky brown Arabs, is wildly ridiculous. But if we want to eliminate terrorism, and we don't, because it's a very useful tool, but if we want to eliminate terrorism, we would start acting like honest actors. So that's to answer your question. And hopefully that was sufficient. Moving back over here. Finish up our Gaza news. All right. Been streaming for an hour. Not bad. No problem, Pucker. Thank you. You know, I'm sure I'm wrong somewhere in there. But that's just, you know, my personal feelings from my observations of the news for far too long, geopolitics for far too long. I mean, especially if you lived through the Bush administration like I did, through the whole terrorism canard. If you lived through that whole terrorism canard, your eyes would be a little bit more open to this American exceptionalist narrative that we're the good guys and we're just trying to help everybody out. And I mean, even with Ukraine, and I, you know, as a supporter of Ukraine defending itself against Russia, I acknowledge that the United States is not helping Ukraine because they believe in democracy. It has so little to do with democracy, it might as well be a fucking joke with a punchline, right? But all the same, like, you know, I believe in Ukraine's independence from Russia, so I'll take it, right? So moving back over here to Gaza. Thank you, Kissing Gonzo. So Biden over here, just another follow-up to what we saw in the video clip. You need a Rafah strategy that works. So it's funny, right? Because once again, we're seeing the weakness of Joe Biden and just how easily Bibi Netanyahu is playing the West. Because it was, you better not go into Rafah, you better not go into Rafah. And now it's, oh, well, you need a Rafah strategy that works. Okay, I know you're going to do it anyway. It's totally like the parent that has an asshole son, right? Give me this, give me that. I want this, I want that. And it's like, no. And then the kid kicks the mother in the shin, and then she solemnly and quietly walks over to the cash register and buys him more toys. Right? That's what this relationship is. Isn't that funny how that works? Oh, no, okay. Well, I know you're going to do it. So now it's got to work. It's got to work. Israel lacks a viable military strategy to eliminate Hamas and Rafah. U.S. President Joe Biden told Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu as he warned him not to act without approval from Washington in a stern phone call on Monday. You need a strategy that works. The strategy should not involve a major military operation that puts thousands and thousands of lives, civilian innocent lives, at risk of Rafah. Oh, Bibi Netanyahu. Shit. Oh, he's inspired by the words of Joe. Oh, the innocents. Oh, the innocents. Now that you mention it, I guess we did kill a couple. Question everything. That's a RT slogan. Oh, that's Russia Today's slogan. That's so funny. That is so funny. The way they talk to each other is the same kind of political neutral wording that leaves too much open for future rhetorical options. The slime is thick. It's so thick, and that's a great point. That's a great point. That everything they say is as a hedge, you know? Well, I didn't really mean that when I said that. Oh, I don't know. Tiptoeing around this. I'm tiptoeing around that. So it's absolutely happening. But I do think, I mean, from what I've seen so far from my observation, it does look like Israel is not going to just do what they did to literally every other region of Gaza, systemically carpet bomb the entire thing. Hey, Rob. And no, I'm no master. Come on. Just because I put a fucking mic in front of my face and a webcam and I hit start stream, that doesn't make me a master at dick. Maybe running my mouth. Maybe talking shit. I'm a master at talking shit. So what I'm trying to say, though, is that so far I've seen evidence that Israel is doing a different strategy in Rafah, sending in commando units to, with surgically going after specific targets. And instead of dropping a bomb on a building, you send a unit in there to flush the building out. Far more dangerous, of course, but you end up killing less civilians indiscriminately. Civilians, of course, still die, though, unfortunately. But that's, the entire world wouldn't have a single problem with Israel right now. I mean, there'd be some grumblings from the further, bleeding heart left, like me, who would be like, yeah, you're still killing innocent Palestinians. Just remind everybody, if Israel instead of blowing up 90% of the Gaza Strip, almost literally, they sent in these tactical teams, occupied areas, did it in a really messy kind of U.S. style, right? With Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Like, you're not blowing up everything, you're occupying you're making yourself a nice juicy target. You get shot at from a building. Instead of dropping a bomb on that building, you send a unit over to that building that clears that building out. Very messy, very dangerous, but you avoid tens of thousands of children dying. I guess not really, though, if you look at the death toll in Iraq. All that extra effort we took still resulted in over 1 million civilians dying. We don't talk about that, though, do we? You do run your mouth endlessly. It won't stop, man. It won't stop. It won't stop. Israel launches a raid on Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. So I believe Al-Shifa Hospital is in the middle of the Gaza Strip. Correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently there were, like I said, I saw a headline that said 200 Hamas members in the Al-Shifa Hospital. Sounds pretty ridiculous, but apparently, I've never denied Hamas. Like I said before, I don't believe Hamas is the legitimate government of these people. You know what I mean? I think Hamas is holding the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip hostage, dog. There is no interest in governing. There's no interest in really providing a safe, sustainable life for the Palestinians. So I've never denied that Hamas is up in the hospitals, up in the schools, stealing aid. Of course, none of that justifies an ethnic cleansing campaign against the Palestinians. We're literally talking about people being held hostage by theocratic maniacs. And we're like, yeah, blow them to hell. Hell, they're all monsters. We're talking about true victims here. I mean, like the victims of the victims of the victims, man. The Palestinians over here, They're getting totally hosed here. Hamas, getting it from Hamas, getting it from Israel, getting it from the West, right? You got aid dropping on their heads. You know, they're getting killed from fucking boxes of food. Trying to grab a bag of flour, getting shot up by the IDF. Tell you, man. I wish I believed in God so I could pray for the Palestinians, because that's really all they got left.
Israeli forces have...
Sorry, change the bit rate.
Israeli forces have launched another raid on the largest hospital in the Gaza Strip. The army says Hamas militants had regrouped inside Al-Shifa Hospital and that gunmen fired on its forces from inside. The Gaza Health Ministry says some 30,000 people are sheltering at the large complex. Now, this hospital in Gaza City is one of the few remaining health facilities left in the besieged enclave. And the Israeli military has long accused Hamas of using it as a base for its fighters.
This morning, the IDF conducted a precise operation to thwart terrorism in the Shifa hospital area. Footage shows terrorists firing from deep within the Shifa complex. Our forces engaged the terrorists. Tens of Hamas terrorists have been detained in the Shifa hospital.
Tens.
I can now confirm
so that was inaccurate. Okay.
Mabuchach, head of the Operations Directorate of Hamas's internal security, was killed.
They're trying to say the director of the hospital is a Hamas commander or intelligence person. Yeah, no, I mean, we had, I reported on those eyewitness, those people, you know, there's too much eyewitness evidence that says, oh yeah, dude, people with AKs, like beards and you know, frightening terrorist motherfuckers rolling through our hospital, you know, and testimonies from doctors who work there. They can't all be lying. So, quite frankly, this doesn't surprise me. And once again, you know, I go back to what I said, you know, Hamas holding these people hostage. Holding these people hostage.
Yeah,
so here they are. I mean, literally in the hospital. You know, and you could say, well, Israel put that stuff there. Israel put that stuff there. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if they're gonna do that with this, why didn't they do that with the underground tunnel that was under the hospital, right? That anemic. You know, oh, this is the Gaza HQ. Remember the CG video they showed us, right? So I mean, I believe him. I believe, like I said, I totally believe Hamas is you know, cynically using these critical pieces of infrastructure for their own means. Yeah. No, I totally believe it. The problem is that Israel and the IDF want to use this information and say, see, all of our genocidal activity totally justified. We had no choice but to drop bombs on 90% of residential homes in the Gaza Strip. That's what they want to say. That's, of course, totally ridiculous. They could have fixed this problem without ethnically cleansing the entire Gaza Strip region. I think that's fair to say, right? Interesting. I would like to see an independent breakdown of the video, though, that they released, just to confirm, you know, see if there's any mistakes. There's no resistance or anything. No, the killings are not justified. And that's what people are implying when they're like, oh, well, you know, the Palestinians voted that they all support October 7th. We'll kill them all then?
ألا تدمي قلوبكم مشاهد القتل للأبرياء من الأطفال والنساء؟ ألا تدمي قلوبكم أمعاء الأطفال الفارغة إلا من الجوع؟ ألا تدمي قلوبكم كيف تقتل الإنسانية دهسا تحت جنازير دبابات الاحتلال؟ ألا تدمي قلوبكم قنابلكم وهي تتساقط كالمطر وجيش الاحتلال يقتحم مستشفى الشفاء اليوم ويقتل المرضى؟ إلى متى ستبقون بلا حراك بل إلى جانب إسرائيل دولة الإجرام؟
To the end, man. To the end. We've seen the capacity of the Western Alliance to absorb, gaslight, recontextualize, and just straight up lie about the atrocities that they're committing or that are being committed under their watch. They feel like the Western empires feel like they have propaganda frameworks set up that are strong enough to, you know, even in the face of all of this horror, to push through, to just let it happen, right? That's why we don't see concrete, you know, we don't see Joe Biden doing anything really concrete. He's just wagging his finger because it's just a big delay. You get to the end of the election, and then we can stop pretending like we actually care about Palestinians and get back to the real, you know, business of running the American empire. So senior Hamas commander killed in Al-Shifa raid. Got another one. I mean, no, it's great. I'm not shedding no tear for this motherfucker. Fuck you, dude. Fuck Hamas. I'm just this, you know, echoes of Afghanistan and Iraq. Every week, every month. Oh, this guy, we got him. This guy, oh, we got him this time. Oh yeah. Another one down. The whole, when these terrorist cells, their hierarchies are set up in a way so that they're not, you know, it's not like a Soviet style, you know, hierarchy. You take out the head of the snake and then the body becomes confused. I mean, you know, it's still valuable to go after these guys, take them out. But you're not killing a group. You're trying to kill an ideology. If you could Thanos snap all of Hamas away today, every person who truly believes in Hamas in their heart, right? An impossibility. But if you could do it with magic and snap them away, the next day there would be Bamas. B-A-M-A-S, whatever. You know what I mean? Bamas, named after the gun. Doing the same shit because the like I said, the scenario, the situation that creates terrorism has not been fixed. And the situation that creates terrorism is, of course, all that I described earlier. Western exceptionalism, yada, yada. You get what I mean. Lenny, welcome back. Greetings south of Boston. Hope you're doing well. I didn't trample your stream, did I? I saw some stuff. No, okay. Doesn't look like you streamed today. Okay, good. I hate it when I'm interrupting a Lenny stream. I don't like to do that. Make sure you're liking and subscribing, folks, to Lenny if you haven't already. Well, what the hell happened there? Did I click on the wrong thing? No, I just had two of the same link open. Okay, that's really professional. So this is the final video of the day here. We're going to get into this, you know, shocking if you haven't been paying attention. But if you've been paying attention, this is exactly what you would expect this woman to say. So this woman is the leader. Basically, she's probably not officially, right, the leader, but she's basically considered the spiritual leader of the settler movement in the West Bank. She believes it. You know, too bad, so sad about the Palestinians. Oh, wah, wah, wah. After October 7th, you know, everything is justified. We get to do whatever we want after October 7th. She claims that she didn't believe in occupying the Gaza Strip before October 7th, but now after October 7th, she believes in eradicating all the Palestinians. But that flies in the face of that 2015 settlement in the Gaza Strip that had to be removed. I'm pretty sure she was part of that. You'll hear it mentioned in this story. I can't remember the name at the moment, but you'll hear it mentioned. You know, it was this settlement that the IDF and the Israel had to dismantle. One of the few settlements they actually did dismantle in their history. You know, after they agreed to no longer occupy the Gaza Strip. So they got, they also brought this settlement along with them. Pretty sure she was part of that. So she's just stone cold lying. You'll see at the end of this interview where she says, well, before October 7th, I didn't believe in eradicating all the Gaza Strip, but now I do. Pretty sure that's a lie. Religious people like her will have no problem lying because they believe they are doing the work of their God. That, like, this is, my God, by hook or by crook, wants this to happen. So they not only feel justified, like they'll lie with a big smile on their face, and they'll do it super confidently, knowing that they are doing their God's work, right? So you're dealing with a next level liar, a person who's gone beyond conscience, who's gone beyond shame, and is is serving something what they think is greater than they are. And it's really dangerous. They'll just lie, the stone cold lie to your face. You'll show them evidence, if there's evidence of this woman, supporting this settler movement in the Gaza Strip, before October 7th. Oh, God's plan, God's plan, God's plan. It's the fake news of the 16th century, right? All right, but this interview is really horrific. I'm going to try not to pause it as much as possible, so we're just going to try to watch it here. Be prepared to be triggered if you've never seen this woman. She's, like I said, she's well known in the settler movement. She's POS. I guess we'll try to be a little bit more couth because she's an old woman, but total POS. Racist, xenophobe who believes victimizing the Palestinian people is 100% justified, and in fact needs to happen, right? It has to happen. If it doesn't happen now, it's just going to happen later, yada yada.
High in the hills of the occupied West Bank, a flag flies in the face of a Palestinian village. God is king, it says. 2 young settlers guard this illegal outpost. Construction hasn't even begun, but we are not welcome.
So they're asking us to leave. They don't want to talk to us. They said they've been here for about 9 months.
Dotted across the landscape, more signs of the fight to assert Israeli control over Palestinian land. The Arabic names on signposts crudely erased. Under international law, the Beit Hogla settlement is illegal. But last February, the Israeli government officially recognized it along with 8 others, a move the U.S. strongly opposed.
Oh, no, they wag their fingers so hard. Isn't that cute? It's illegal until they make it official. Isn't that adorbs? Do you feel like a sucker? Boy, I feel like a fucking sucker.
We're here because God promised us this land, Azrael Picard tells us.
Neat.
Now these settlers have set their sights on a new prize, one that seemed utterly impossible before October 7th. Returning to Gaza, they cheer. That is the goal of Zionist settler organization Nahalal, one of more than a dozen groups now advocating for the reestablishment of Israeli settlements in Gaza. A recent promotional video even boasts that Gaza will become the next Riviera.
By the way, I believe Jared Kushner said something similar to that yesterday or the day before. There was headline news about, Jared Kushner, the husband of Ivanka Trump, or Ivana Trump, the daughter, repeating this line that, some valuable beachfront property in the Gaza Strip. Just, I mean, it's really shocking. It really makes it sting even harder that it's happening like right now, right in front of your face. It's one thing to read about this kind of barbarism in the past, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, we've gotten better. Nope. Nope, not even close, man. Not even close.
is the godmother of the movement.
So this woman is the woman I was talking about.
From the 700,000-strong settler community of Israel.
We're just arriving now at a settlement in the occupied West Bank, and we're heading to a
settlement,
talk that Daniela Weiss is giving to
Look at how developed it is. Paved roads.
In resettling Gaza.
We are for the land of Israel and Ben Gvir, she says. About 20 people gather in the living room of the family home. Weiss knows that for many in this community, there is deep nostalgia for Gush Katif, a block of 21 Israeli settlements that were forcibly evacuated by the IDF in 2005 when Israel left the Gaza Strip.
I said 2015, 2005.
This is
Look at this. They already got it plotted out. Look at this.
You see all the nucleus groups.
Yeah.
A map has already been drawn
We'll
out.
conquer this. This group will take that group. This is ours. Look at this, man.
So they've just been handing out these
Number
little
2 in government
that say "People of Israel."
Number 2 in government.
Home, and then underneath a call to return to the settlements of Gaza.
One of the organizers tells the group they have a representative flying to Florida to raise money. Nahalal gets support from a number of groups in the U.S., including AFSI, Americans for a Safe Israel,
which
co-sponsored a recent webinar on the return to Gush Katif, even as the Biden administration has cracked down on settlements in the West Bank.
There is a very strong support from very prominent, from very, I would say, wealthy people, wealthy Jews.
In the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Can you name any names?
No, I cannot. No.
Back at her home in Kedumim settlement,
Why?
Weiss tells
Why would
us
they be
she's
ashamed of
already
supporting
enrolled
this?
500 families.
I even have on my cell phone names of people who say, enlist me, enroll me, I want to join. I want to join the groups that are going to settle Gaza.
I have to ask you, though, because we're sitting here talking and we're listening to the call
I'm listening
to prayer.
to it. I hope you are listening to it.
Which is a reminder, I think, of the people who live here, but also the people who live in Gaza. What happens to them in this vision of this
I have an answer for this.
Jewish settlers even in Gaza City?
What I think about Gaza, the Arabs of Gaza lost the right to be in Gaza on the 7th of October.
Well, she made that decision.
I do hear the mosque.
For
I do hear the
cute?
prayer. Things were different until the 7th of October. No Arab. I'm speaking about more than 2 million
Things were different,
Arabs.
but that's why we settled it in 2005.
We, Jews, will be in Gaza.
That sounds like ethnic cleansing.
Ooh.
The Arabs want to annihilate.
They want to kill us all, so we get to kill them all.
You can call them monsters. You can call them cleansing of Jews. We are not doing to them. They are doing to us.
Yeah.
I couldn't make...
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? They're literally flushing the entire region out, and she's like, they're doing it to us. They're doing it to us. Isn't that great? Fully justified. Boy, great freeze frame, huh?
It's clearer when I said that myself, as a person who is preoccupied with settling the land, until the 7th of October, I didn't have plans of returning to Gaza.
Except we just saw you in a meeting waxing nostalgic over the 2005 settlements that you're incredibly mad that you were removed from in the Gaza Strip. Just stone cold lying. And look at her. You hook her up to a lie detector test, dude. She'd pass that shit. That's the power of religion. That's what it does to your brain. Right? Hammer's looking for nails, man. The justification is in. The conclusion is in. I'm just looking for a justification is what I'm trying to say. Right? My conclusion is that we want Gaza. Fill in the blank. Whatever justification I need to get to there. Isn't that nuts? We had no interest of being there. We didn't want to do this before October 7th. Except we're really mad about the 21 settlements that we got that were removed when it was returned back to the Palestinians in 2005. I didn't want to occupy the Gaza Strip until October 7th. Now everything is justified. By the way, big props to Hamas for making this narrative totally possible, and now we have millions of people who totally agree with it because they scratch the surface and they go, "Oh, this is my opinion," then they walk away and continue to live in the lap of luxury while people suffer.
It's clear. I'm not interested in cleansing.
She's
what
not,
is clear
but she's
is
doing
that
it.
Weiss's views,
Has no
traditionally
choice.
seen as extreme in Israel,
No
have become
choice.
more popular since October 7th.
Sucks.
In late January, jubilant crowds packed an auditorium.
That's what I'm going to say when I rob a
for
bank.
the Victory of Israel
I was broke.
conference, calling for the resettlement
I had no
of
money.
Gaza. A poll that month from the Jewish People Policy Institute found that 26% of Israelis advocate the reconstruction of the Gush Katif settlements after the war is over. Among supporters of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing coalition government, that number jumps to 51%.
It's just the leaders of the
Several ministers
government.
were present at the conference, including far-right heritage minister Amichai Eliyahu.
Oh, come on. He's just number
In a
2,
rare
number
interview
3.
with Western media, he
4,
tells us his
5.
political decisions are guided by
And
the
we're supposed to
Torah.
pretend that Bibi Netanyahu
Is there
disagrees
anything
with these
about
people,
Gush
by the
Katif
way.
in here?
Yes, the Birkat Amazon.
And that settlements in Gaza are needed to prevent another October 7th.
The language of the land says that wherever there is a Jewish settlement, there will be more security. Doesn't mean there will be absolute security, but there will
Language
be
of the
more
land,
security.
huh?
Why would you advocate
Man.
for something that many would say is illegal?
What language does the land speak?
immoral, is not supported by the majority of
Jewish.
Israelis, and is also
Or what,
very
Yiddish?
harmful to
That's the
Israel in
term?
terms of its international standing?
Why do you think it's immoral to take land from someone who wants to kill me? Why is it immoral to take my land, which my ancestors lived there,
That's cool,
which
man.
I've even given up, to someone who slaughters, rapes, and murders me?
Yeah, man.
What is more immoral than that?
Netanyahu
So by
has
that
called
justification,
resettling Gaza, quote, an
Arabs can
unrealistic
take
goal.
over Israel, right?
Most Israelis
By that
agree.
exact same
But that
justification.
hasn't stopped scores of IDF soldiers fighting there
Because of the
from
crimes of the
posting
IDF.
videos calling for a
Oh,
return
I
to
love these
Gush
funny
Katif.
TikTok videos that the
For
IDF
many
puts out.
supporters of the settler movement, what was once a distant fantasy is
The-
now a fervent dream.
The most well-documented
Clarissa Ward,
ethnic
CNN,
cleansing
the
campaign
occupied West
in
Bank.
history. Every crime, every murder, documented, videotaped. Got a little, little name right next to it. The whole thing. Isn't that cool? Right in front of your face. Neat. There you go, folks. That's the Gaza news for today. Not a lot of good news. If you care about a solution, if you're like, well, where do I do, man? This was so depressing. I'm gonna go fucking Roblox myself, man. What the hell? Well, if you care about a solution, if you want to see something, if you want to see this change, the only entity that can change it is the United States government. Literally the only entity that has any true leverage against Israel to make them do any kind of substantive change. Joe Biden is in an election year. This is actually a perfect time to politically pressure him to do that. Perfect time to do that. Perfect time to say, you're not getting my vote unless you do something substantive. I'm not an Arab. I'm a person who cares about human beings, and this is what I believe, and this is what, is going to happen. With that said, I would recommend you lie. You basically lie. You make a big stink and say, I'm not going to do this. But if you live in a strategic, if you live in a purple state or a swing state, I would recommend voting for Joe Biden. The alternative with Trump, a right-wing organization, is the full-blown destruction, elimination, eraser of the Palestinians. And we'll see it accelerated. So if you care about the Palestinian country and you want to continue to see it be given a lifeline, then you're going to want to unfortunately, support Joe Biden. Because there's no real, it's not like he's going to fix it, but at least he'll apply some Band-Aids. Whereas Trump would just, push them all into Egypt. I don't care. You don't like it, Egypt. I'm a big tough guy. I'm a big tough guy. This is a great opportunity for me to act tough for another country. This is what he does when he's acting tough. He does this. But if you care about the Palestinians, there's pretty simple 1 + 1 = 2 there. But with that said, I do recommend you lie. Apply as much pressure to Joe Biden as possible. If someone calls you up or knocks on your door or sends you a text, you're like, I'm not voting for you, motherfucker. Scream and shout. But, maybe just accidentally vote for Joe. Accidentally. Hey there, Nicholas. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Sorry, but you've caught the end of the stream. I'd like to give big props to Kissing Gonzo, Nicholas, for stopping in. Thank you, Nicholas. Big props to Woke Patriot, Lenny, your boy Lenny. Father Dari, thank you for coming in. Rob MQ, Pucker War, Ash Potato, big props, you guys. Old Growth Canopy, big props, big props. Thank you for coming in. Glad you're enjoying the News Underground, and thank you for your contributions in the chat. Hot Dog JPEG, lovely name. Thank you, Hot Dog JPEG, for your contributions in the chat. Very much appreciated. Reed Strader, thank you again over there from Kick. Appreciate it, Reed Strader. Read more poetry, huh? No. We got to do more marches. More organizing. Read some poetry at your next march. Read some poetry at your next meeting about planning your next march. Folks, don't forget, to create real political change, you must follow my 3-step program. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization or just a political organization. Union, run for office, something. Put your name down. Type it into Google. It's right there. Step 3, you got to put in the work. Treat political activism like a lifestyle. Instead of every 4 years, I begrudgingly fill out a form and take an hour out of my day to go do something. If you want to see real change, it's going to take more. It requires more than that. The fascists understand that, and that's why they're building the organization, finding motivated people, whether they're insane or otherwise, but they're motivated. And they're doing the real work of political activists, and they're winning. Jennifer Lawrence for president. Sure. She's pretty progressive. I wouldn't do Gal Gadot. I wouldn't do a... what's her nuts? Black Widow. I wouldn't do her. Scarlett Johansson. Wouldn't do Scarlett Johansson. Most organizers would do well to read a book every now and then. Yeah, sure. But honestly, the most important thing is just to physically be out there on the streets, creating a mild disturbance. That is easily the most effective thing. Being disruptive, being a thorn in the side, being a squeaky wheel, finding ways to be squeakier, supporting politicians that will be squeaky. Read all the books you want. If you're not doing that, it doesn't matter. We got a lot of academics on the left. We got lots of people who have read lots of books on the left. What we need are foot soldiers. Straight up. What we need are foot soldiers. Jennifer Lopez. Jenny from the block. All right, folks. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. We'll be covering Ukraine tomorrow. I think. Actually, no. No, we'll be covering Ukraine tomorrow. I'll be busy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm gonna suck ass. I'm gonna be busy all weekend, literally. So might not see any streams. Well, we'll see. I'll try to squeeze one in on Saturday. I'm aware of how deep. Thank you, Lenny. Thanks again, everybody. News Underground. Abandon nihilism. Take care of yourself up there. Thank you, Woke Patriot. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Nicholas. DJ Akosa. DJ Akosa. Thank you, everybody.